So I'm going to show you the most like magical program ever. So if I have my exported PDF and I want to flatten it real quick, I could literally use a keystroke and it's going to pull up my predefined things. And literally what it's doing is, you can see this up here, it's running through my Automator process to flatten, which I have a separate tutorial on how to set that up, because you do have to set up the Automator process first. And so it'll take a couple minutes and you'll know it's working because it's got the little gear thing running up there. So maybe I'll use this time to go check Facebook or whatever, and boom, it's done. Now I want to PDF squeeze it, and I cannot do it all in one stroke because I have to have the new document to squeeze. And I've done a separate tutorial on PDF Squeezer as well. So I did my keystroke and boom, I've already got my presets and I'm set. Amazing sauce, right? Very cool. And let's say I wanted to watermark it. Let me go ahead and use my keystroke. Oops. And it failed because I didn't have something selected. I want to watermark, and let's say I wanted to watermark this with my pitch clips. I mean, I don't, but let's say I did. Again, I know it's running because this little thing up there is going. Might take a minute because it's doing all its things. And literally what I told it to do was add a watermark and flatten that watermark. And so now when I open it up, you can see my little watermark is back there and it's flattened. I can't select that individually. Pretty cool, right? Let me show you the program. So this is called Keyboard Maestro. And I found it because I was looking for a way to save and copy and paste some things that I wanted to do. For example, with another keystroke, these are some things that I have recently copied, and I'm going to blur them out just in case anybody happens to look at it. But this is all the things that I have recently copied. So if I had something that I was going back and forth with, I could easily grab it. I also have some permanently saved stuff. And again, I'm going to black out parts of it because some of it's actually some of my business numbers and things that I often need to do. But like one of the things that I do save is some hex codes for some of my clients that I'm working on projects for. So that's part of why I bought it. Well, turns out it also has some other amazing abilities. So it has the ability to record these things that are called macros. And a macro is, as far as I understand it, is basically just a series of steps that are done in a program. And so I have it set up to use a hotkey, and a hotkey is just basically a keyboard shortcut. Now you have to be careful on how to set up your hotkeys, because if you set up something like, like a hotkey would be like Control or Option or whatever, copy, which is C, and then paste, which is V. You don't want to do that because then you can't use it as a shortcut. So I actually use, on the Mac, I use the little arrow, the little Control, because that's not really a hotkey. Most of the time it's Command something. And if that doesn't make sense, once you start doing it, you're just going to, so for example, this one in PowerPoint, one of the things that I found that I was doing was I was sending a image to the background. I was centering it vertically and horizontally. So I literally recorded myself doing the actions and then went back and cleaned it up. So you'll see it says select send to back, align center, align middle. And so now when I do hotkey A, it automatically does this. Now, sometimes I forget my hotkey and have to go back and look, which is fine because usually I'm doing tons of them. Some of my more common ones I actually remember. And if you wanted to set this up yourself, I'm going to do another one. So I have PowerPoint open, and I literally am just making some random presentation. And I grouped them for me by what program. So I'm going to create a new macro, and I would call it whatever it does. I'm just doing test. New trigger. There's all sorts of things you could do. You could do gestures and stuff like that. I just do hotkeys because it just works for me. You could also do a type string trigger. So if you typed like, FTH, it would do it. I found that when I was typing regular words, because I'm not the greatest typist in the world, I was setting off hotkey stuff. So I was like, no, we're not doing that. So I do a hotkey, and so this I might just do a U. I'm just making this up. Now you can add a new action. Like if you know what you want to do, you can look through the list of things like activate an application or a macro group, all sorts of things that they've predefined. I find in a program though that it's easier if I go ahead and just record it. So I would click record. It counts off. Now watch it. It's going to record like when I click. So it's like clicking at parts of your screen. Don't worry about that because I go back in and clean that up because you don't want it just like clicking around. Okay, when you're in a program like PowerPoint, one of the limitations though is if it's something up here that you're clicking, like it's going to record that you clicked here, but it doesn't record what you do. Let me show you. See down here? It says move front window to position and stuff. So it's recording literally everything you're doing. You have to actually do menu items to kind of get it to work. So if I wanted to do this and do insert, like let's say that I needed a quick shortcut for insert a picture. I'm going to close out PowerPoint. I'm going to stop my recording and I'm going to go back up and I'm going to delete all of this stuff. Literally just select it and delete it. Because the only thing that I want this shortcut to do, and I'm telling you, it records everything that you do. So wait till you kind of get down to the, there we go. So select picture from file, insert picture from file. So let's say that I want to do that. I'm going to close this. Oops. All right, let's open PowerPoint back up. I'll do a new one this time. So now when I do my hotkey, it popped up on my other screen. I have another screen. Let's see if I can get it to pop up in this one. So when I do my hotkey, it literally pops up right there. So let's just say that was a menu item you had to do it a ton of times. Someone in the TpT world, I don't remember, like called them like micro time savers, but these micro time savers really add up. So I've gone through, and as if I'm working on a project and I find that I'm doing like the same menu item or the same thing over and over again, then I record myself a little keyboard shortcut. So for me, the only thing I have in PowerPoint right now is back, center, vertical, and horizontal. So I have my group specifically set to only work in PowerPoint. Like if I'm here, just in the Finder, and I do my hotkey, which you can't see me, but I just pressed it, nothing happens because I'm not in PowerPoint. So I have a few things set up, like in MuseScore, I wanted to export to PDF, and I was working on some transpositions, so I went ahead and set up a hotkey for that. In Keynote, I have align bottom, center, duplicate, just some things that I have been doing quite a bit. That there were buttons to do in Keynote, but I'm a big keyboard shortcut user. I think the global macro group, I think literally that came with it. If you go to look at the enabled macro section, then you'll see the clipboard history switcher and the activate named clipboard. That's like your favorites. That's the ones that you've saved forever, because when you turn off your computer, your history kind of resets itself unless you've specifically saved it in there. So here's just a little bit more about the clipboard history. So if I type something and type, for example, this is a big old test, and I highlight it and I want to copy it, when I go to paste, what I can do is I can use the activate clipboard history switcher by using my hotkey, which I've set, and what'll happen is that it pulls up a list of everything basically until I've restarted my computer or cleared the history that I've copied recently. So I could do this and I can paste that. I could do this and it would, well, it's not going to paste in the text document, but if I was pasting a picture like in Microsoft PowerPoint or whatever, I could do it. If, for example, though I want to save it like forever, that's called the named clipboard switcher. And so it's just a different set of commands. So I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to be graying out some of the stuff because some of it's my business numbers. So let's say I want to add the last thing that I just did. What I'm going to do is click, make sure that I have the last thing that I want to have copied, click plus, and it's automatically going to fill it in right there. And then I can just go here and I can rename and name it, you know, something that makes sense to you, and it disappeared, but it's in alphabetical order, so it went down below. And if you want to delete it, you can just delete it. And I'm sorry that I grayed out quite a bit. Just some of it is business numbers for my business and other people.